Hello, I'm Amanda Jennings and I'm a writer for Dance Europe magazine. Every year, writers have the pleasurable task of choosing a dancer to nominate for Dancer of the Year. And usually this means looking at hundreds of videos, reading every review you've ever written of every performance, and it takes ages to decide. It was a little bit different this year due to the reduced number of performances. So I decided to nominate Vadim Muntagirov, who, when you think about it, could actually be Dancer of the Year in any year. But I chose him because he represents the art of ballet in its purest form, classical ballet. He is a true classical dancer. Hello, Vadim.
Hello.
Hello. So shall we start off by asking about the year that's just gone? Were there any highlights in it? What happened that you actually managed to enjoy and get some artistic fulfillment from?
Well, the whole year kind of been up and down because with a couple of lockdowns, we kind of felt like we are coming back to normal, but then we stopped and we are back again and then we stopped. When we were doing Nutcracker last year, it was kind of a hope that everything gonna be fine. So I managed to do my 2 shows with Marianella, and we went to another lockdown. So yeah, then so I would say Nutcracker maybe last year it was kind of a highlight of the year, but then it was very short.
Mm-hmm.
We literally in 1 week we did 2 shows and that's it. We went to another lockdown and I think it was lockdown number 3 or something like that. And I think the most difficult thing was that we didn't know what's coming next. We didn't know when lockdown will finish, because when we had first lockdown, we knew a little bit that in October there might be opening season gala, so we had something to look forward to. And in the winter lockdown, it was kind of, okay, go home and then we'll let you know what will happen next. So that was also a very, maybe the most difficult time of this whole pandemic time. So, but I think not just me, I think everyone, all dancers, we stay positive and we worked really, really hard. Luckily, we were allowed to go into the building. It was a huge help because to do all ballet classes in the kitchen or living room, it's really, really hard. I would say, especially for boys, because we need to jump a lot. For me, that was the most difficult thing to do, is to jump, to find a space, not just to go up and down, but actually run around. Yeah, luckily we could use these beautiful studios, and it helped a lot. I was trying to challenge myself because we couldn't rehearse at that time as well. So I remember I found a DVD of graduation year of Vaganova Academy, year 2000, boys class, and it's a very, very difficult graduation class. So they literally did over 20 jumps there. So I thought, because I'm not doing much during the day, I thought, why not to challenge myself? So I was doing every day this graduation class, but I was kind of fine. I was killing myself for 3-4 hours a day, and then I could go home and just recover. I could sit on the sofa, I could sleep, I could watch some movies, play piano. So actually I managed to recover for next day. So like that, I was trying to survive, survive this time. And then after that winter lockdown, we start to rehearse slowly. One of the challenges I faced, it was rehearsing while you're wearing a face mask. It was really, really unusual because it was really difficult to get the oxygen, and we were preparing for some really, really difficult triple bill mixed program. One of the pieces I was rehearsing, it was Tchaikovsky Pas de Deux. And even without the mask, it's a killer. With the mask, it was just, I remember going for the coda, and then I felt like I'm gonna faint. And I remember we were trying to find a way how to breathe through the mask, because breathing through your mouth, it didn't really work, because the whole material of the mask would just go inside your mouth. Yes. So actually we were trying to breathe through your nose and all sort of different ways. So that was really, really hard. But then luckily we were allowed to take the mask when we were in the bubble, when it was just two of us, for example, me and Marianella.
Yes.
And that was a huge help. But yeah, after that final lockdown, when we came back, it was actually really, really difficult time. At the same, really exciting time, but really difficult, because we were, well, me, I was rehearsing Tchaikovsky Pas de Deux, I was rehearsing Winter Dream, I was rehearsing Apollo and Sleeping Beauty, and I think it was something else as well, maybe Corsair or something like that. So it was really, really hard, because you, in a way, you have to be in your best form, at your best shape as well. So in a way, I thought, because I was working really hard and I was maintaining myself in a good shape, I thought I would be like one of the strongest. But actually, when I came back, the whole Royal Ballet company was really, really strong, in a really good shape. And I was amazed, like, how everyone managed to keep themselves in shape. And luckily, there was no major injuries from the dancers, so everyone kind of put themselves together, and we managed to perform lots of shows. I think it's start from like a May till June, beginning of July.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really, as I said, difficult, but we were so happy to be on stage.
Of course.
Almost every single day, actually. And I mean, sadly, it was just kind of 10 minutes pieces. I wish it would be a full-length ballet, but I can't complain, because I did Apollo, and it kind of felt like a full-length ballet. It's a one-act ballet, and it felt like I've done something more proper.
Substantial.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes if you can have a break like that, I mean, obviously that particular type of break is unprecedented, but even if perhaps when you have a small injury and you know it's going to be fine, so you're not worried. But it teaches you how much you love what you do, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I think probably, perhaps, that happened with some of the dancers, that you came back refreshed and excited about being on stage.
Yes,
So.
yeah, and I think like really hungry as well.
Yes.
Because it was the same for me. Like a first month when pandemic started, I was actually really happy because first time ever I actually didn't have to wake up early and I didn't have to do class. So for almost a month it was like a best time of my life.
I think a lot of people felt like that, but it was after the month that you started to think, how long is this going on?
Yes, exactly. And then after the month you feel like, okay, what's next now? And then you realize it becomes harder to keep yourself in shape. So you end up putting much more work to stay in a good shape. But
focus, really focus.
Focus,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
But also kind of makes me to realize that ballet career is so short, and it was, for me, it was really upsetting that I was in a way at my peak, 31, and I just had to sit at home in front of TV, and I felt like I could actually done so many performances. I could have made so many people happy to see me dance, and I could learn as well a lot in that year. So before I thought, yeah, it's fine, it's just a year, but year of pandemic, it kind of make me to realize that I could have done so much in that 1 year. And now when we were kind of back to normal, I feel really, really hungry, and I'm just trying to get every available opportunities. And luckily, Kevin is really, really nice to me. He's giving me lots of shows here, and he does let me go and experience different companies, different production, different ballets. So I'm just trying to make myself as busy as possible.
I was going to ask you actually, because you've sort of been through this slightly before, when you were supposed to do Raimonda with Paris Opera Ballet.
Yes.
And they were on strike, so you had experienced the disappointment of, because I think, were you rehearsing every day because you didn't know whether you were going on that evening?
Yes. That time, I think it was one of the most challenging times in my career, because I had 3 Raimondas here, 3 girls, 3 partners at the Opera House. I was doing with Sarah Lamb, with Marianela Nunes and Natalia Osipova. And then at the same time, I was rehearsing with Valentin Colasante from Paris Opera, and I was just kind of going to Paris and back to London, and even actually Irek Muhamedov, they would come here with Valentin and rehearse with me here. So we put lots of effort into this whole Raimonda business, and when finally my shows with Paris Opera comes, I got to Paris Opera, but the problem was none of the dancers knew if the show was gonna happen or not until like a couple of hours before the show. So we didn't know day in advance or something like that. So in the morning I would wake up, I would go to the company, I would do ballet class, and then around 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. they would tell me if show is happening or not. So in a way we were rehearsing full on, thinking that maybe today or tomorrow it's going to be a show, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And I remember when they canceled my last 3rd show, I took this electric scooter and I just went around Paris cruising, and it was quite sad, but I hope next time
there'll be another
it will
opportunity.
happen. Yes.
Yes, yes. Now, I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, about because obviously both your parents were principal dancers.
Yes.
So, was it sort of a foregone conclusion that you were going to be a dancer? You were born and they started training you, and you didn't have any choice in it, or what happened? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my parents, they never worked with me. They never like coach me, correct me. So I grew up in a theater because they would take me with them, and they would just leave me in a theater. Either it's with a wardrobe department, or when I was a little bit older, I could just run around by myself in a theater, and they would just go on stage and perform. But I remember running around in a theater, accidentally opening a door into orchestra pit while the show was on. So it was fun. It was a huge, massive building at that time for me. And of course, I was watching many shows, many ballets, and I remember I would also ask lots of props, like for example some swords from Nutcracker, so I could play with it. And my dad, he would have lots of costumes at home, so I have some funny videos and pictures, me putting a Rothbard costume on and trying to do some movements. And my mom was telling me that when I was very, very little, I was very good at acting. So they would always ask me, show Death of Rothbard, and I would be trying to like showing how he's suffering there with one wing there rolling on the floor. So in a way it just kind of happened naturally without them pushing me into the ballet, because ballet was like
it was a home.
Always yes, yeah, and sister as well. She was at that time she was going to Perm Ballet School, so she would come back to Chelyabinsk for holidays, and I was always looking forward to that, so I could play with her. And then when I turned 10 years old, I just kind of packed my stuff by myself, actually, and I knew that it's time for me to go to Perm Ballet School, but I didn't know it's going to be that hard being by myself there, because I've always been kind of parent-child. I was always like sleeping between my mom and dad, and I remember that first night by myself in Perm Ballet School, in a boarding school, in the room with other 3 boys, and just lying there. And I still clearly remember that first night. And at that time we had no mobile phones, so we could only write a letter, and they would receive, I don't know, a couple of days later. So it was yes, very, very hard times. But at the same time, I'm very grateful because I had incredible teachers as well, and I kind of this experience make me stronger, stronger, and I think it helped me when I moved here, when I started new life again.
I was going to ask you that, because exactly that, you started a new life again. And did you speak English when you came here?
No, I couldn't speak, no.
But there must have been some other Russian people here. Who was?
Well, at that time at Royal Ballet School, we had an Estonian teacher, Meelis Pakri.
Yes.
Yeah, and he helped me a lot as well. So he sometimes would tell some words in Russian, but most of the time it was in English. So I just kind of had to pick up as quick as possible. I was staying in a wolf house at that time in Barnes Court, and I was sharing room with Benjamin Ella. So he helped me a lot as well. We kind of create our own language.
Yes.
It was something between Russian and English. some very funny memories, but Ben helped me a lot as well. But yeah, it kind of, I felt like I was getting used to being in Russia on my own. It was my 6th year. And then when I moved to England, it felt again new beginning, everything new. But in a way, I was a little bit stronger, so I managed to survive.
And I imagine that you must have been very disappointed not to get into the company when you graduated straight away.
Well, you know, many people ask me that, but to be honest, I didn't mind at all, because
Because you had a job immediately with English National Ballet.
yes, but I was just maybe in a way I wasn't that smart enough. So when I was graduating, when I was doing last year at Royal Ballet School, I was just thinking about ballet. I had no idea about world future. I had no idea that I need to look for the company which will suit me. I was just young student dancer at that time. I was just very happy to explore this new world. So I wasn't thinking about company. I was thinking about roles I could do, and watching all these videos, Rudolf Nureyev, Baryshnikov performing. It was amazing, and I was just thinking, okay, I'll join the company, and one day I will be dancing these roles. So I never thought of like, okay, it's a graduation time, I have to do my best to get into Royal Ballet. I was never thinking about that. And then Wayne Eaglin with Maina Gilgood, they approached me after one of the solo evenings at Royal Ballet School, and they offered me a contract, and they promised me to do Albrecht already almost like in 2 months' time. So it was amazing as well. I kind of had a little chat with my parents, and they also thought that I think it's a good idea, why not? It's an amazing opportunity. You can perform a principal role straight away. So I kind of agree. It was the first invitation. No one ever offered me anything else. So I just kind of agree, and I was never unhappy. I was never thinking about other companies. So it was, in a way, it was amazing.
You just wanted to dance.
Yes, yeah.
And you progressed very quickly, didn't you, at ENB? You did, which was great, because you got to do more and more quite fast.
Yes.
And you did Derek's enormous Swan Lake.
Yes, yeah. The first, especially like first 2 years at English National, it was very, very hard, because I had to do principal roles, soloists, and corps de ballets. So I was on every single show.
Yes.
So it was really, really hard, but I was happy. I was young, and I had no idea what is hard work, what is easy. For me, it felt like, well, it's normal to do whatever, 50 nutcrackers or something like that. I thought it was fine, and I was enjoying stage time. I had no fear. We were traveling into all these cities, and it was just great. Yeah, I had really good time there.
It was good for your confidence as well, because
Yes,
you had done so much.
Yeah, and
already when you came here, you'd done so many roles.
Yes, yeah, and in a way, I was just, as I said, maybe I wasn't mature enough, but it worked really well, because I didn't realize I was, I didn't feel any pressure, but maybe it was like, for example, giving me like a opening night of Swan Lake in Albert Hall, and it was supposed to be with Polina Semyonova as well.
Yes.
But I was just kind of, I didn't even think about that. I was just like, well, it's a show, I just go for it and I do my best. So all this, in a way, maybe very important timings in my life, I didn't really pay attention to them.
You didn't realise how important they were,
Yes,
that everything
yeah.
just happened to you.
Yes, yeah.
So, well, I wanted to ask you, I wonder if, because that's a very positive and very, in a way, relaxed attitude, do you think that has, because you haven't been a person who's had a lot of injuries, have you? Have you had?
No.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Touch
yeah.
every piece of wood in the room. Do you think that that is partly because you are very positive, relaxed, you don't get in a state?
Well, I don't think it's so much about being positive and relaxed. I think the main thing it's hard work, because I always try to work as hard as possible. So when I perform, it's not a shock for my body. So I try to run the ballet many times in a studio before I go and I do it on stage. Because sometimes if you don't rehearse enough, if you don't practice full out, you go on stage and you have the adrenaline and you're starting to go for it, and maybe it can be a surprise for your body. And of course, I think because I had lots of shows on stage and guestings around the world as well, it kind of make me stronger, because sometimes I would go abroad and I would do like 8 shows in 10 days, something like that. And it would be Swan Lake, full length, like a 3-4 act ballet. But in a way, it's easier to perform. It's always much harder to rehearse in the studio when you have to repeat the step 100 times. I have people asking me, how can you do 8 shows in a row? And I always say it's actually easier. It's much easier than to rehearse in a studio, because you go on stage and you have just one chance, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you try tomorrow again. But like rehearsing in a studio is really hard, like especially for now. Just before this interview, I did rehearsal of Giselle, and before yesterday on Wednesday I had the general, so I had in a way kind of a full performance. And then next day, it doesn't stay in your body, and you have to repeat again and again, and that's the hardest for me.
Yeah, that's the trouble with physical memory, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Same for musicians, of course.
Yes.
I think we're very lucky to have you here, because it's obvious that you could go to any company in the world that you wanted to go to, and yet you're here. So what is special for you about the Royal Ballet?
Well, Royal Ballet feels really special for me, and actually when I moved to Royal Ballet from English National Ballet, I was worried slightly, because I didn't know how people will accept me here, because it's a different company, and I've been in a different company, and I was joining as a principal already, so you never know how people might react. But actually, everyone was really nice to me. So when I joined the company, everyone just kind of swallowed me into the atmosphere, and I felt very comfortable, very confident, and up to today, having a great time. Everyone is really friendly, and of course amazing repertoire, because when I joined Royal Ballet, there was ballets like Manon and Roméo and Juliet, Macmillan and Le Film My Gardet. All those ballets I haven't done, so it was new for me, and I felt like I was learning a lot from Royal Ballet repertoire, because I was already at that time I could do technique, but I felt like I had to improve my artistry a little bit more, and it was very enjoyable to do ballets like Manon, De Grieux, because it kind of makes me to realize that there is so many amazing ballets that it's not about double tour and pirouettes, that actually you have to tell the story, and it makes me feel good that sometimes I don't feel just a dancer but also an actor.
Yes.
As well. So I think I like Royal Ballet because of that combination of a great atmosphere and amazing repertoire. You never bored with repertoire here.
And you're known for your immense charm on stage, and when you play the princely characters, the good guy, it comes across really strongly. Do you think, as you get older, that you'd like to play perhaps some darker parts? I know that you felt you weren't quite ready to do Onegin, but that will come at some point, presumably. Would you like to do it?
Yes, yeah. I think it's. I think the dark part was always inside me before. It's. I don't know. Luckily or unfortunately, I was doing lots of princely roles, but. Actually, a few months ago, I had an interview in Japan, and they asked me, "What is like the next role you would like to do?" And I told them Rothbard, Rothbard and Abderrahman in Raimonde.
Oh yes.
And the person would just laugh because he didn't believe me. He thought I'm making fun, but actually I was very serious. And even now, sometimes in our changing room, when we have Swan Lake and we hear Rothbard music, I would always dance in my changing room because it's, I don't know, it's a great role. It's fun for me, and I feel like I would love to try. And the same with Abderrahman was in Raimonde. Like I know maybe I won't succeed in the beginning. I know it's not maybe something so straightforward for me. It would be definitely out of my comfort zone, but I'm definitely like happy to try this challenge, like to be a bad guy and to do all these big movements, and so. But I'm sure time will come. Yes, it's. I think maybe princely roles it's a little bit harder to do, but at the moment I'm in a big demand for all the princely roles.
Certainly you are. But it would be interesting for you, perhaps even Rudolph.
Yes, yeah.
Because that's a very interior role, a very, you have to really get into the mindset of the character. Yeah. It would be a very interesting process.
Yes, absolutely.
And so what are your hopes for the future? How do you see yourself progressing later on? Lots of guesting?
Yes, I feel like I just want to be on stage as much as possible. Before, like a year ago, I think I was thinking that I'm still young, I have plenty of time, but now I feel like, well, I'm kind of halfway to my retirement, if I'm lucky. So it feels like I just want to go on stage as much as I can and try to enjoy, because there was some times when I wasn't on stage that often, and I lost that confidence, and there was few shows when I was on stage and I didn't feel myself. I had a bit of fear, and I was maybe too picky, and I was worried, I was doubting about myself, is it gonna work? And I didn't enjoy. It was that couple of months I had that time when I was on stage and I wasn't enjoying. and then I told myself, you have to change your mind. You have to enjoy. You have to be happy when you're on stage, but all this comes when you do many shows. When you done this ballet many times, so you feel very relaxed. You can play with it. So I think that's my plans for now. So I will continue work as hard as I can. Try to stay in a good shape and maybe even better, because I still feel like there is always something I can improve. Most of the time I look at myself at the video or something, and I was like, oh, this could be much better. I do this in a studio much better. Why I didn't do it on stage? So in a way it's good. I always have, or I see something I could improve. And I think it's better that way, rather than come back home and you look at the video and you're like, well, that's good, so I can just relax. So there is always something. Just would like to stay motivated, because when you don't have motivation, it's hard. So motivation, it's a big help, and discipline, and yeah, we'll try to continue make audiences happy and enjoy them.
Yes, and I know you've been doing some teaching, haven't you?
Yes.
And
yeah.
you've been teaching online as well as in person, because you do
Yes,
the Prague
yeah. Yes, yeah.
in the summer, don't you?
Yeah.
And how did you find teaching online?
It was quite challenging. Yes, yeah. When you in person, it's much easier, and actually, I also learned so much for myself.
Yes.
So in a way, it's like a double win for me. I'm helping students and learning for myself as well, because I could tell them, for example, do a bigger Grambatman and this jump, and then I think, oh, why I'm not doing it myself? So when I come to the studio and do it myself, I was like, oh, I remember I was telling this boy this correction, so I should do it myself as well. But on Zoom, online, it was quite unusual. First ever experience, it was quite funny, because I had a couple of kids, and they were very young, very little, like around 8 or 9 years old. And I had friends in my flat. They were just kind of spying at me, how things will go. But it was just, in a way, a bit of a disaster, because they wouldn't listen. They would play between each other, or they would start sending me their screenshots. And I was trying to give them ballet class. And yeah, basically I couldn't control them, and I didn't feel as a teacher at all. I was more like a nanny, a nurse, or something like that. So my friends were laughing on the side. I would just say, "Hello, can you listen to me? Look at me. I'm trying to give you a combination," and they would just run around in the room and then just play. And it was quite funny.
Well, at least they enjoyed themselves, so they'll associate
Exactly.
that with ballet.
Yes, yeah.
And you'll be, I'm sure they were absolutely thrilled to do class with you. Anybody would be.
Yes, yeah.
So thank you so much for sparing the time today. It's been
Thank you.
very, very interesting to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.